Welcome back, guys. I just wanted to take an opportunity to pause here. You've already done so much on this course. We've worked through quite a lot of activities together, and it's important to acknowledge that you are taking those steps and you've already done more than most people will ever do when they try to make changes, because making changes is really difficult. And whilst you may feel a sense of energy, a feeling or a need to rush ahead and start working through more things or going back and changing things, it's important to acknowledge that we don't build stability by rushing ahead. So I just wanted to take this video just to reflect back to you that you've already done so much by just simply showing up. And if there's parts of this course that you've struggled with or parts you're unsure on, you have access to this course indefinitely, so you can go back to some of the earlier videos. If you've missed something, you can just pause and take a note of what it is that you haven't done, finish the course and come back to it at any point. If there's parts of the reset cycle that you're unsure on, again, just take your time, go back, re-watch it, and just start to work through it again in your own time. This is not a race, and you don't need to have the course completed in just a few days. The purpose of this course is to work through it slowly. It's to start to check in with ourselves and understand where we are at and where we want to be. And the structure of it is in such a way that we start by stabilizing and calming ourselves down, and then we obviously move forward, as we have done, into finding direction. Then we've started to look at the roadblocks and other things that might come up. In the next module, we're going to talk a bit more about the struggles that can actually come up as we start to make changes. So again, I think that's why it's super important just to pause here and acknowledge just how well you are doing. And the fact that you're here showing up is really important. It can be really taxing to not allow ourselves to be distracted and to stop using old coping strategies, because our brain is so used and conditioned to choosing the things that worked. And even when they don't work anymore, the brain still wants to use those tried and tested methods. Anything new, anything that is out of the ordinary from what we usually do, the brain will try and reject it because it's uncomfortable and it's uncertain and it can't think it all the way through, which is why time and time again, and I am very much still guilty of it because no one is perfect, we will always fall back to old coping strategies or old ways of thinking about things. It's just the way we process information. But ultimately, the trick here isn't to be perfect. It's just to have that self-awareness and understanding of when we are doing that. And that is where the reset cycle that we've worked through is really good to just have in your back pocket, to use perhaps once a month, every few weeks, depending on what works for you. Perhaps if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling a little bit stuck for whatever reason, you can just start to work through this reset cycle, even if you only did it a week ago, because you'll be able to continue developing your own self-awareness, and you'll start to be able to identify your own steps and how you're going to move forward, or how you're just going to calm yourself down because you're feeling overwhelmed or even just sort of overworked and overstimulated. And as we continue to go through life, we can't always control our first response to something, because usually the way we initially respond comes from an emotional perspective. It comes from programming, our previous experiences. So how we might respond in a situation, a conversation, it might be emotional. And that doesn't obviously excuse bad behavior, but it allows us to be a bit more compassionate to ourselves and those around us. And we can start to take ownership of that second decision. So if we do overreact, perhaps we shut down, or perhaps we raise our voice. By developing our own self-awareness and our own systems to calm ourselves down, we're able to return at a later point, and that might be 10 minutes later, it might be an hour later, or even a day later. But if we're able to start recognizing that first response and then actually acting on it and saying, do you know what, I messed up there, I overreacted, this is what it felt like for me, you'll be able to move through life with a bit more ease, because you'll feel more understood by your peers and your partners and your colleagues, but also you'll feel more understood by yourself. And the fact that you're here on this course, it means that you're someone that is doing the work, and you are someone that is saying, I don't want to drift through life unconsciously. I don't want to be on autopilot. I don't want to react to things and then 6 months later look back and think, oh, I could have handled that differently, or hold a grudge because you continue to believe that this way was the way that it went. When in reality, by taking these steps and becoming more emotionally aware, becoming more understanding of our own choices and how we are showing up in the world, we can actively start to make our environment a much nicer place for us to exist in, which reduces pressure, it reduces anxiety, it reduces overall workload on our mind. So as I say, you don't need to be perfect. This is just an opportunity to pause, just to think about all of the positives that you're doing, all of the changes that you're making. And perhaps now's a good time just to schedule on your calendar, whether that's on your phone or even on your physical calendar, just to schedule this opportunity to do the reset cycle. So perhaps it's the first of every month, or even if you just schedule the first one, it doesn't need to be something recurring at this stage. So if you do that now, and when you're ready, I will see you on the next lesson. Thank you for being here. It's very much appreciated, and I'm super grateful that you have taken the time to make changes in your life for the better. Thank you, and see you on the next one.